Thank you. Distinguished former president, Mr. Georgi Ivanov, distinguished guests from abroad, distinguished visitors, cultural workers of our country. It is my honor to participate in this forum. And I shall try, as you said, from my own perspective to show you how I understand international cultural cooperation, the conditions to improve our capacity in this aspect with an optimism that better days are coming. Culture has been a tool or support of foreign policy or diplomacy since forever. We know even Alexander the Great had cultural diplomacy, and it existed before his times as well. Culture and identity of a people and nation are irreplaceable force to better position a country and a nation in comparison to others. It is my personal belief that, and I would like to call it international cultural cooperation or part of public diplomacy, because the title that is used recently, cultural diplomacy, is something that is unclear to me or inconsistent as a term. They're opposite to each other, I would say, even though in practice it has shown that they can support each other, because culture is above all, as a wise person in China once said, Huangzi, to the general, even in war, culture is above all. Yes, art is a sublime creation. It means permanent values, and diplomacy is reality and foreign policy that sometimes picks no means. However, international cultural cooperation in its noble variant serves as a bridge for understanding and creating friendship between peoples and nations. And in the 21st century, it got a great array of institutions in the function of raising standards in culture, protection of creation and cultural policy, and exchange of cultural values. Starting from the Universal Declaration for Human Rights up till this modern times, that through the United Nations, through the Council of Europe, and through different organizations, tens upon tens declarations and conventions were adopted, and almost all of them are ratified in our country. Everything is fine up to this point, and because the majority of my professional life I spent in culture, including the Ministry of Culture as well, this esteemed forum and this session today understand as an opportunity to speak about the other side of international cultural cooperation, namely, in order to have a culture as a soft power in the international arena, we need to make sure that culture in our borders has the stamina, or rather the needed expertise and financial protection in accordance with the international regulations and national regulations, that there is a hierarchy in the valuing of cultural values, and that with this capacity we deal responsibly. In all definitions, the culture is the right of every citizen to create, to participate in its creation, to safeguard it, and to enjoy the benefits from cultural values and art. Before I point out some of the problems or challenges in this sphere, I will show you several examples of international cultural cooperation of the Republic of Macedonia, starting from Yugoslavia times. Because Minister already spoke about this, from 1996, Macedonia headed the manifestation Yugoslavia in honor of Saint Cyril and Methodius, regularly held in Rome and Vatican, with renowned artists and ensembles that represented our culture there. And the peak was probably the exhibition of renowned artists in 1997 that took place. And the then Pope, John Paul II, visited it. I'll mention the tour of the Macedonian Philharmonic in Europe right after the Skopje earthquake as an echo of international solidarity with Skopje. Or the tours from Japan to the USA of the ensemble Tanets, with its founding in our country right after World War II. This continues up till today with our excellent musical and performing arts workers, the ballet, the Macedonian Philharmonic, the theater, literature, art, movies, and other types of expressions and technologies. But I will say that sometimes we lose our breath, and in a tangible culture, or that's archaeological and construction heritage, the capacity of our cultural existence is weakening, and international promotion as well. Let me start with the most important reference, the list of World Cultural Heritage of UNESCO. That is a clear legitimacy for national value, responsibility, and pride, but also for development of tourism. And Ohrid and the Ohrid Lake are included in this list from Macedonia, and a great success is including the folklore and tradition as a non-tangible asset. I would like to point out that in this list there could be the city of Kratovo in eastern Macedonia, the cultural historical route through the old Skopje Bazaar, the church of Saint Panteleimon of the great architect from the 19th century, Andrei Damjanov in Veles, the colorful minaret, and etc. But apart from other initiatives, I'm not keeping up to date, and I'm not sure whether there's any work put into this. But unfortunately, there's degradation of the already mentioned Ohrid and the lake, which are the only tangible cultural natural heritage in the UNESCO list. The artists' self-willingness and the over-construction along the coastline and in the magical place of Gorica change Ohrid. The responsibilities for this usurping, we know who holds, and it is our internal matter. And for the old Skopje Bazaar, a law was adopted in 2007 that was supposed to safeguard it in its authentic shape with provision of infrastructural conditions and modern facilities for the shops by involving creative industries. And apart from the law, we have ratified conventions from the Old Bazaar, the Faro Convention from 2005 for the value of cultural heritage for society and sustainable use of cultural heritage for tourist sites. This is what we need, a guide, a framework for Skopje, for Ohrid, and for other over 10 cities in Macedonia that have cultural heritage. Unfortunately, here the picture has changed as well. And I mean the Skopje Old Bazaar, due to uncontrolled, self-willful investors that constructed things and unlawfully did so. Apart or added to all of this, we must not forget that the international cultural cooperation that is under the competences of the Ministry of Culture and up to a certain point the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is the restitution. From Macedonia, a lot has been taken out through illegal channels. A lot of heritage has been transferred to other places. This is still happening, but unfortunately, or actually fortunately, part of this has been brought back to Macedonia. Many countries start procedures for restitution. Some succeed, some wait for too long for this to happen successfully. And I think that we need more intensive work on this as soon as possible. And before culture and cultural heritage represent our country and represent soft power, apart from diplomacy, we need to first guarantee the protection of culture, creation, and cultural heritage according to all the laws and mechanisms of the country. Throughout the world, the finances for this are provided for funds, foundations, and rarely through, or which is to be commended through so-called ethical banks that for this purpose provide no interest or low interest loans or even donations. And in our conditions, this is very needed, especially for the owners of old buildings that, apart from the value, require updating of the infrastructure so that they can keep on existing or be used in their authentic look that is typical for Macedonia and the Balkans. That is why I think that in our conditions, financing sources should be found, apart from the state budget, also from intensive development companies that profit a lot from this. And I believe this is not the case just here. So they make profits without giving anything back for the preservation of environment, of cultural heritage, urban tradition, and the space that they use and possibly endanger. But I'll finish optimistically. And this is because of the frequency of creators that we see that get introduced to other successful practices in this area, in this domain. Through the Ministry of Culture, many channels for quality cooperation and exchange of projects have been opened. And let's hope that young people will be even more responsible and more inventive with regard to culture and cultural heritage. In the end, a newer tool of the Ministry of Culture and Tourism for our cultural cooperation, international cooperation, is the cultural centers in Washington, Istanbul, Belgrade. I don't know if I left any out. And I also read that there is an NGO that is acting in the area of cultural promotion of Macedonia in Moscow. I believe that the Ministry of Culture will build a concept of small but functional cultural course that will make it possible to present the country in the best way possible and thus to obtain help in reaching positive goals of foreign policy. Thank you very much.